Hello YouTube, Atlanta to Dallas Aviation here, and I have number 21 in fleet video for you today, as I promised in the last video, which was fleet video number 20 for Avianca. That was a nice and short one, but this one, you can see all those airplanes there. I've got 46 of these to go through today, and I even have an aircraft type that I don't currently have. I have one on order. I'm not sure when it's going to get here with all the tariff stuff going on and everything, but hopefully that one will be joining my United fleet soon. But anyway, so with 46 aircraft to go through, we're going to go ahead and get started with this. We're going to start, as you can see here, with United Express in the Air Wisconsin retro livery. My understanding is that this was a retro livery and not a house colors livery. So we're going to call it Air Wisconsin Retro, and it is a Canadair regional jet. The 200-200. Wow, I got to learn how to speak today, evidently. CRJ 200, again in the Air Wisconsin Retro livery, with approximately 500 seats, and this is a Gemini Jets release in September of 2023, and its registration is N4712 Whiskey. So that first one I actually added just because the database was showing it as United Express and not as Air Wisconsin, a standalone Air Wisconsin. So I had to add that into my collection. So this is where we start with actual United liveries, even though this one is United Express. It too is a CRJ 200 with registration November 246 Papa Sierra, and it is operated by SkyWest Airlines, and this is a Gemini Jets release as of March of 2021. Alright, our next United Express is this Embraer ERJ 175LR with a registration of November 605 Uniform X-Ray. It is a Gemini Jets release, operated by ExpressJet, and it is a Gemini Jets release, and it was released in February of 2020. Alright, our next one is also United Express, but it's in the battleship livery. Battleship gray livery, I guess, is what everybody really calls it. And it is a BAE 146. It also could be, I can't remember what it was listed as. I have it listed as a BAE 146. It could be an Avro, I can't remember all the different numbers for the Avro. A 100 maybe, or an Avro 85 or something. They had something like that, and the number was usually reflecting how many seats were on it or could be put on it, or the typical seating arrangement. But anyway, and you also might have noticed that I'm getting a little bit bigger. Well, that's how I'm presenting all my planes to you today. It's going from what I could look up. It's going from the lowest amount of seats, lowest amount of max seats, and it's going to the highest amount of possible max seating. Now, of course, United, especially when we get to the mainline, United has a whole bunch of different classes. And even when they didn't have a whole bunch, like when this livery was popular, even mainline United was usually just two classes, domestic first class and domestic economy. But what I tried to do to get some feel of how I should present these to you, I went online and I tried to find information that suggested what the maximum amount of passengers that, or the maximum seating arrangement for each aircraft, if it was in all coach. No, not all premium coach, all coach. And some of those I couldn't find. So when we get to like the 757-300 versus the 767-200, I may or may not have gotten that right. Okay, so if you actually know better than I do, please leave it in the comments. It'd be nice to kind of have an idea of how I should have figured out which aircraft were bigger. Well, we'll get to it when I get to those. I'll tell you what I considered doing. But anyway, getting right back to this, so we got a lot to get through. This is British Aerospace, a BAE 146, as I put it. Its registration is November 292 Uniform Echo, and it's operated, or at least was operated, by Air Wisconsin. And it's a Gemini Jets release, and it was released in March of 2008. All right, here's our first truly retro. As you can see, it's wearing the mainliner livery. And this is a SID Aviation SE-210 Caravelle. Its registration is November 1001 uniform. It's an Aero Classics model, and it was put out, unfortunately I don't have a month, but the year it was put out was 2002. Our next retro, which is also in the mainliner livery, is this Boeing 727-100 with aircraft registration of November 7004 uniform. And this one, this one is November 7001 uniform, and it's an Aurora's model. I think Aurora was a branch or whatever of Aero Classics. I'm not exactly sure. You can probably go to Yesterday's Airlines and look and see, find one of his editorials about what or who Aurora models was connected to. And this one, like I said, was Aurora's models. It was a USA exclusive, So USA exclusive Aurora 400 model. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't exclusive, but it was Jetstreams. That's what I was looking for. Jetstreams USA exclusive model from Aurora Models. And it was released in 2005. All right, our next 727-100 model, which is November 7004 uniform, is a JetX model, and it came in a set of 2, so I'm saying that the 100 is the first model of 2, and we will get to the second model. And this one is in the Sawbass livery, and it was released in 2000. All right, our next one is a Boeing 737-700 in the Evo Blue. Registration November 21723. It is an NG Models release, and it was released in May of 2021. All right, our next model is one of 3 A319s that I have. This one is by Dragon Wings with a aircraft registration of November 801 Uniform Alpha. And it's in the Battleship Gray livery, and it was released in 1999. All right, next is another A319. It's in the Evo Blue livery, and as I mentioned in my GAI video, I have 2 of the same registration. It's just they're 2 different manufacturers, and unfortunately I don't like to have duplicates, but I didn't realize I already had, I think I had the Gemini Jets release first, but I didn't realize that the Panda release, which is this one, was the same registration. So the registration for this aircraft is November 876 Uniform Alpha. This one is the Panda Models version, and it was released in 2019. All right, next, this one is the Gemini Jets version of the A319-100, and still with the same registration, November 876 Uniform Alpha. And this one's also the Evo Blue, and even though its release date is February of 2020, I actually got this one first, and then I got the Panda Model 1. Actually, you know what? Maybe I did have the Panda Model 1 first, and I just didn't realize that the Gemini Jets one was the same registration. I just know whichever one I got second, I didn't realize the registration was the same as the one that I already had. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have gotten whichever one came second. So it would make sense that I got the Panda 1 first, because that Panda 1 might have been a special model for, I don't have it listed as a special model for a certain model store, but it could have been. I just don't remember, and I didn't write it down properly, so I don't know. But all right, our next one is another oldie but goodie in the Mainliner livery. And this one is a Douglas DC 8-11 with registration November 8002 uniform. It is a Gemini Jets release, and it was released in June of 2003. Oh, shoot. All right, I'm not going to mess with this. So this is this one, I'm just going to have you look at it like this, because I always have a problem with the landing gear on this one. All right, so this is my one and only A320-200. It's in the Battleship Gray livery. Its registration is November 772 Uniform Alpha, which actually is an incorrect registry. So this that registration does not, and as far as I know, has never existed on a United A320. And it's a Dragon Wings, and in this, with Dragon Wings, their gear, on top of not being very detailed, it's plastic gear, and it doesn't stay in place very well. If it's really tight fitting, it'll fit just fine and be great, but in this one's case, the port side main gear doesn't like to stay in very well, so, and I didn't want to struggle with it while I'm making this video, so it's not that big a deal, but anyway, it is, like I said, it's Dragon Wings Battleship Gray livery, and it was released in 1999, just like the A319 was. All right, so the second aircraft in the two model set by JetX is this 737-200. Its registration is November 7641 uniform, and in the Saul Bass livery. And as I already mentioned, this set was released by JetX in the year 2000. Our next 727 is November 72901 uniform, and this is a Gemini Jets release, and as you can see, it's in the Battleship Gray livery, and it was released by Gemini Jets in June of 2000. All right, so this release, I've got several that are very similar here. Let me make sure I've got the right one. All right, I believe this one, well, I know it's a 737 MAX 8. I believe this one is November 27251, and it's a Gemini Jet release, and it was released in January of 2022. Our next MAX 8 is also Gemini Jet's release, and this is November 27261. It's in the Being United Together scheme, and you're looking at the United Together side. On the other side it says Being United, and then on this side again it says United Together. And it was released by Gemini Jets in August of 2022. Alright, so you're looking at the good side of the force on this side. And as you know, if you're familiar with this aircraft, the other side is red, as you can kind of see from the split scimitar over there on the other side. And so that's the dark side, and that side's all red. This one is a 737-800, registration November 36272. And in real life, it has since been repainted into the normal Evo blue. This is an NG Models release, and it was released in May of 2022. Alright, and our final 737-800 is November 26208. It is also an NG Models release in the Evo Blue livery, and it was released in October of 2020. Alright, so moving on to the 737-900ER. This one is November 38417. It's an NG Models release, and as you can see, Evo Blue livery, and it was released in October of 2021. And our other 737-900ER is November 75435. It's also an NG Models release, but this one's in the Continental Retro livery, and it was released in January of 2022. Alright, our next model should be a 737 MAX 9, and registration November 37555. This one is a Gemini Jets release, and it was released in April of 2024. Alright, and our final 737 is a MAX 10, This is a NG Models release, and with aircraft registration November 27753, which I do believe this aircraft exists with that registration. It just, since the MAX 10 has not been certified yet, it has not been delivered to United. It's similar to the Southwest MAX 7s that NG Models has put out. The two versions that NG Models has put out, those aircraft with those registrations actually exist. It's just that the MAX 7 hasn't been certified yet, so it hasn't been delivered. But when they are delivered, they will be delivered with those respective registration numbers, just like this one will be delivered to United with this respective registration number. And as you can see, Evo blue colors, and it was released in March of 2024. Next, we have our first 757, and it's going to take me a second to figure out which one it is. This one is November 536 Uniform Alpha, and it's in the Saul Bass livery, and it is a Gemini Jets release, and it was released in September of 2024. Our next 757-200 comes to us from Gemini Jets. It's in the Battleship Gray livery with a registration of November 565 Uniform Alpha. And it was released in April of 2002. Alright, this 757-200 with the winglets on it is a Next Generation Models release, and this is the normal Evo blue livery. It was, let's see, its registration is November 48127, and it was released by NG Models in October of 2021. Alright, our next 757-200 is November 14106 and released by NG Models, and its special livery here is the Her Art Here California by Sungwei Wu. I hope I said that correct. And it was released in April of 2023. And then this 727, which is November 14102, is our other Her Art Here entry. And it's the New York, New Jersey by Corinne Antonelli, and it's a Next Generation Models release, also in April of 2023. All right, our next offering, now that we're off the 757-200s, our next offering is a 767-200 with registration November 604 Uniform Alpha. This is a Dragon Wings release, and it was released in the year 2000, and it's in the Battleship Gray livery. Our next aircraft is an A321neo with registration November 44501. It's a next generation model release, and it's in the Evo Blue livery, and it was released in November of 2023. And according to all the records I could find, it is only, as far as max seats are concerned, this aircraft is only 2 seats larger than the 767-200, but I have serious doubts about that. But based on my research and how I'm presenting my models to you, this aircraft is supposedly bigger capacity wise, as far as seating capacity is concerned, than a 767-200. I find that kind of hard to believe, but that's what I have. Now this one I can believe. This is a DC-8-61, so the first version of the Stretch. Its registration is November 8073 Uniform, and it is a Gemini Jets release, and as you can see, it's in the mainliner livery, and it was released by Gemini Jets in August of 2002. And just a special side note, the box that this came in, when I got this model, the owner was there, or at least one of the high officials of Gemini Jets was there, and he signed my box. So the boxes came in as signed. Don't know that it makes it any more special or more valuable, but there it is. And according to sources, this aircraft in all coach configuration can hold up to 259 passengers. So I can kind of believe that this one has more passenger capacity than the 767-200, but that A321neo is stretching it for me. Alright, so this one is also a DC-8, but it's the Neo of its day. So it was a new engine option, and it went from, I think the engines on the Dash 61 were some sort of Pratt & Whitney. Well, these are the CFM 56 engines. So basically the first version of the CFM 56 engine that we all know and love on our Airbus A320 family COs, and in the next generation, well actually it was probably on the classic generation 737s too. So 737s had some version of the CFM 56 engines for a very long time, until we get to the MAX era. So here you have the DC-8-71. It's registration is November 8177 uniform. It is a Gemini Jets release, and it's in the Saul Bass livery, and it was released in February of 2008. All right, next on our list is another pencil, but this one is back to 757s, but this is the 300 version, and this one's registration is November 75854. It is a Gemini Jets release, and it's sitting in the Evo Blue livery, and it was released in October of 2022. Now this one I can believe sits more than a 767 200. All right, our next aircraft is a 767 300. This particular one, as you can see, is in the Saul Bass livery, and it has registration November 647 Uniform Alpha. It is a Gemini Jets release as of March of 2004. So I've had this one a while. Our next one is also a Gemini Jets release. As you can see, this one's the Battleship Gray livery. And actually, I take that back. This is not a Gemini Jets release. This one is a Phoenix release. So this one's the evil 767 300 because its registration is November 666 Uniform Alpha. It's Phoenix release. It's sitting in the Battleship Gray livery, and it was released in 2023. And my next Battleship Gray 767 300 is a Dragon Wings release. It is November 665 Uniform Alpha, and it was released in the year 2000. Our next model is our last 767, but it's a 767-400ER. This one's November 66056, and it is a Panda release, actually an actual Panda release and not made for some special store or anything. And this is on a fairly new mold, and it's arguably the best 767-400 mold available. It's in the Evo Blue, and it was released in 2023. Alright, our next model, we move up to the 787-9 Dreamliner. This release is November 199986, and it's the Aviation 400 release. It's Evo Blue livery, and it was released November of 2023. Alright, this is my other Evo Blue 787-9. And its registration is November 299er75. And this one is from NG Models. And this one was released in May of 2020. Alright, now we move up to the 777-200. This one is by Dragon Wings with a registration of November 772 Uniform Alpha. And it's in the Battleship Gray livery, and it was released sometime in 1999. Our next Battleship Gray 222 is November 799er Uniform Alpha by Gemini Jets, and this model was released in January of 2003. Alright, we getting close to the end here. This is 787-10 Dreamliner, and this one's registration is November 13013, and it is an NG Models release, as you can see in the Evo Blue livery, and it was released in August of 2022. Alright, getting really long here. We're now in the 333, so the 777-300ER. This one's registration is N2251 Uniform, and this one's Aviation 400 release, and it's in the Evo Blue livery, and it was released sometime in 2021. Alright, this is my second 777-300ER. This one's the Gemini Jets release with registration November 2749er Uniform. And it was released by Gemini Jets in August of 2020. We finally reached our big boys here. So this is United Airlines in the Saul Bass livery. It's a 747-400. And this one is November 183 Uniform Alpha. It is a JC Wings release, and it was released sometime in 2023. And last but certainly not least is the United Airlines 747-400. This one is November 197 Uniform Alpha, and it was a release by Gemini Jets. It's in the Battleship Gray livery, and it was released way back sometime in 1999. All right, so that is my collection of United aircraft in Mainliner, Saul Bass, Battleship Gray, and Evo Blue. No, I don't have any Blue Tulip. I never really liked that livery, and I had stopped collecting when United merged with Continental, and so by the time I started collecting again, United had already gone to the Evo Blue livery, so I decided not to collect any United in the Unicon livery. Now I do have some Continental in the Globe livery, but I do not have any United in the Unicon post-merger livery, and so I won't. I have almost given in to getting some, but I decided not to, especially since I'm on mega budget now. I hadn't collected any to this point, so I'm not going to bother, since that livery will sooner or later not be around. So I didn't want to collect that one anymore. And honestly, the only active United livery, not active, I'm sorry, the only United livery that I actively collect at this point now is the current United and the United Saul Bass. Yes, even the Battleship Gray ones were, when I was collecting, that was the livery that they were using, so I was getting it. But I'm not particularly wanting any additional Battleship Gray ones either. So it's Saul Bass in the current United is what I'm now collecting. So anyway, with all that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it's probably pretty darn long even after I edit, but if you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like and sharing it with your buddies. And if you've enjoyed multiple videos by me, please consider subscribing to the channel. And with all that said, that ends our United Fleet video. So until next time, happy collecting.